plate tectonic theory. Plate tectonic, I hope we understand that. What is a plate? A plate is a part of lithosphere A plate is a part of lithosphere. A lithosphere is cracked at several places. Tectonic is basically the kinematic part of it. That is movement. That means, as per the theory of plate tectonics, Earth's upper part is made up of several plates, and each plate is moving, right? Several plates, and each plate is moving. If you look at that, they are divided into major and minor plates. There are 6 major plates, somewhere it is 7 also, and there are more than 20 minor plates. It is believed that minor plates are more in number than it appears. Among the 6 major plates, that one is Pacific, the only oceanic plate. Then you have Eurasian plate, American plate, African plate, Indo-Australian plate, and Antarctic plate. Among these, only oceanic plate is Pacific plate, rest are oceanocontinental, which are partly oceanic, partly continental plates. You have already seen on the atlas, last page, the number of plates and major plates. The largest among these is Pacific plate again. Now these plates are moving. In a nutshell, questions has been asked in GS portion, but just in brief we will discuss about it, especially its relationship with different entities, physical entities or geophysical phenomena will be an important aspect of discussion rather than the plate tectonic itself. Just in brief, there are 3 types of movements of plates. Number 1, divergent boundary or constructive margin. Number 2, convergent boundary or destructive margin. Number 3, conservative boundary or passive margin. Right? There are 3 types, and with the help of these boundaries, plate tectonics has explained several physical phenomena, including the geophysical phenomena like earthquakes, volcanism, and the intensity of earthquake, the types of volcanism they are occurring, the frequency of volcanism, the island formation, the scattered island. For example, last time there was a question means that explain the formation of different islands. So all can be explained with the help of these movement and these three types of movement. Firstly, what do we mean by boundary and margin? As plate is a three-dimensional figure, right? Let's say suppose this is a plate, right? So plate is a three-dimensional figure, lithosphere part roughly around 100 km thick, and this plate is moving. So basically this is the marginal part. All the side walls are margin, whereas the surface trace of motion is called boundary, right? Generally boundary and margins are synonymously used, but technically they are different. This is margin and this is boundary. When the plate is moving, they are converging or diverging along the two boundaries. But what happens to the margins? They are the same. Divergent boundary, constructive margin. That means when we are talking about, let's say, suppose two plates. These are the two plates. When two plates are moving away from each other, and remember one thing, there is gap is not widening, right? When the two plates are moving, then the margin might be being constructed. So they are divergent. That means moving away from each other, and margins will be constructed. That's why divergent boundary, constructive margin. When we say convergent boundary, when two plates are coming close to each other, they will converge, and in the process of converge, there will be destruction. Because of collision. So margin will undergo destruction. That's why convergent boundary and destructive margin. When we say conservative boundary, for this plate to move independently, this must be separated from this side also, from the rest of the earth part, right? So actually what is happening, let's say suppose it is diverging here and converging here. Let's say suppose one plate is also there and this is diverging, so this will be a divergent boundary, right? And this will be a convergent boundary. So what happens to these two boundaries? This plate individually has to be separated from the rest of the earth part for it to freely move, right? So what will happen? The portion which is neither undergoing divergence or destruction or construction, that will be the conservative boundary. That is, nothing is happening in fact. That is passive margin, right? Because earth is a single entity. Earth is a single entity, and in that sense, if you look at the structure of the earth, each part has to be separated and each part will be moving independently. Let's say suppose this is the Krollbag area. Imagine that this is earth and it is made up of several plates. Let's say this classroom itself is a plate, right? So this plate will be diverging from somewhere and converging somewhere. So this classroom has to be separated from the rest of the office area and the road. So this portion will be conservative boundary or passive margin. Hope we are getting that a little bit. Now start with divergent boundary and what all will happen there. When the two plates, let's say suppose is a single plate, are now going to be bifurcated into two categories. So obviously the magma has to create cracks on this. For the formation of cracks, the magma is responsible for that. We have already seen that, right? The volcanic eruption, especially fissure eruption. Central eruption can only create holes, but fissure eruption can definitely rip the plate apart, right? So when the magma is moving, there is a convective current around. That's how it is believed. Because in the beginning itself, magma will not be able to rise till the top. So in each column, when it is rising, it will hit the portion, do it work partially, and they'll move like this. So a cellular motion of magma will begin, and that is the spot where you will have the beginning of the formation of cracks here, right? When these plates are broken, they will start moving away from each other, right? That's what divergent boundary. So at the divergent boundary, the magma will come up will get deposited, right? And this is what we generally call mid-oceanic ridge, because they'll always be formed in the middle of the ocean, or once they are formed, they will be gradually moving away and they will be found in the mid of the ocean. A ridge is a small mountain produced because of local rupturing, right? So this plate will be moving away from each other, and that's how plate is being created. One single plate will be broken into two parts. So if you look at this aspect, the divergent boundary will be the site of the formation of mid-oceanic ridge. Will be the beginning of the plate movement. From there, the fundamental reason for the movement and formation of plate is the volcanic eruption. Site of Rift Valley formation. Upwelling of magma. Magma will be deposited along the side walls. That's why it is called constructive margin. The site will be common along the oceanic plate, rare over the continent. Even when it is on the continent, they will make, that's what we call continental rupturing. First there will be Rift Valley formation, then again on the continent there will be mid-oceanic ridge. Best example is East African Rift Valley.